Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the nocturnal planet Mars. Mars is really your basic animal instinct. It is one of the nocturnal planets, which means that you can't readily understand it logically. It is one of those planets that you can really truly connect with only on an emotional, visceral level. It is the unconscious part of your ego, whereas the sun is the more logical, conscious part of your ego that you can kind of access and be like, oh yeah, like I can logically understand that that is a part of me that I want to project to the world. Mars is the part that you might not be so readily able to connect with intellectually. You can only connect with it if you feel it. If I talk to you about your feelings and how you feel whenever you're angry or whenever somebody like turns you on, that is your Mars. Mars is also that instinct and that drive that propels you forward and kind of allows you to go after the things that you want. So the things that your sun wants and your moon wants, Mars is the one that kind of gets you there. How is it that you're going to be able to get those things that you want? Well, Mars is the one that's going to tell you how it is that you're going to be able to get those things. So first, I'm going to give you some characteristics. Then I'm going to talk to you about what really ticks off your Mars, like the things that make you angry. Then I'm going to talk to you about the things that kind of turn on that specific Mars. And lastly, just some general turn-offs. So if you like somebody who has a specific Mars, this will be useful so that you can, make sure that you're not doing those things that are going to turn them off. Okay, so now getting into Mars and Libra. So Mars in Libra is not the most comfortable placement. That's because Mars is actually ruled by Venus. So Venus is quite opposed to Mars, right? So Libra is a cardinal air sign, which means that it is driven towards relating to others, okay? So when you have Mars there, it's not very comfortable because the basic drive of Mars in Libra is relationship. And really, Mars is supposed to drive you towards going on your own and really being independent and doing things for yourself and fighting for what's right. But Libra is more leans towards relationships and towards wanting to be in union with other people. So this isn't the most comfortable placement for Mars. This means that Mars in Libra is in detriment, okay? Remember that planets they're just like people and they're trying to do their job. And whenever a planet is in the sign opposite of where it is at home, so Mars is at home in Aries, and if it's in the sign of Libra, that means it's in detriment, which means that, detriment means that it's in trouble. It can't really easily do its job very well because it's in a sign that is so opposite to its very nature. So Mars in Libra always strives to be fair and balanced and poised. They don't like to be brash. They don't like to be like rude or brutish. Even when they're in a fight, they don't want to appear to be like the one that was in the wrong or the person who did something wrong or the person who was at fault. They hate being at fault because remember that Libra strives to be balanced, and by being balanced, they strive to remain neutral. And Mars forces you to pick a side. So this is very uncomfortable for Mars and Libra. Remember that the goal of Libra at all times is to keep the peace, whereas the goal of Mars is to fight for what's right. So you can see why there's like a conflict of interest when you have Mars and Libra. The real issue here is that Mars in Libra doesn't want to take some type of action that is going to cause them to lose relationships with other people. Not just the person that they're fighting with, but they think about the relationships that they have with everybody. So they feel that if they take a specific action that ends up being detrimental, they're like, oh no, that's going to influence all my other relationships. This makes this Mars placement difficult in the sense that this person is going to be thinking about how their actions are going to affect everybody and how they're going to reflect on them, on their image, and the way that they're portrayed in the public and the way that they're received by other people, because remember that their goal ultimately overall is to be in relationships. So this Mars can have a tendency to get other people to do their dirty work sort of thing, because they don't want to be the ones to look bad. They can find tricky ways of getting other people to, like, for example, if you're a boss and you have a Mars in Libra, you could somehow find a way to get somebody else to fire the person that needs to be fired, because you don't want to be the bad guy. You don't want to be the one that has to do and look like the bad guy. They always want to remain gracious and fair. So they can have a way of getting other people to do their dirty work, to do their fighting for them, because they don't want to be the ones to be the bad guy. So overall, this Mars really has to learn to take a stand for the things that really matter to them. And because, you know, it can be an uncomfortable thing to not be able to take a stand for yourself and really for the things that matter to you, Mars and Libra. So this is your challenge. Okay, so now let's talk about the things that tick them off. It's really difficult to upset a Mars and Libra because, as I've said, they strive to remain gracious under pressure and, you know, overall. So really it's hard to make them mad, but the things that do make them mad are when people are rude. When people are rude or do things that are untoward, they're just gonna be like, why? Like, why do you have to act like that? Can you not? Can you just compose yourself? That is pretty much their reaction to when people are like rude, Aries like. They also really don't like to be put in a position where they have to take a stand publicly. So if they have to stand up for something publicly where other people are going to judge them for picking a side, that makes them extremely uncomfortable. It makes them very anxious, and they pretty much don't want to do that. Another thing that really ticks them off is being labeled as the bad guy, being seen as the one who took the wrong step, who did something bad, who did something wrong. They just really don't like that. Just altogether, being seen in a bad light is bad for Mars and Libra. So what turns them on? If you like Mars and Libra, what are the things that you could do to please them? So they're very basic and straightforward. One thing that they like is just aesthetics, period. So they like attractive people. They like people who dress well, who speak well. Think of just Libran qualities. That is what they like. That's what they're driven towards. They're driven towards beauty. Remember that they're ruled by Venus. So Venus is the goddess of beauty. So they really like beautiful people who put themselves together in a good way. Simple. They also like being complimented for their good taste because, you know, they really fancy themselves as people who have good taste, so they like being complimented on that good taste and their aesthetic senses altogether. They also really like, they're driven towards being surrounded by beauty, so they might spend money on beautiful things. And lastly, their turnoffs. What are things that they don't like in a partner? They don't like vulgarity, people that are going to like attract attention for their for being gaudy or being just over the top. They don't like that. They don't like any displays of gaudiness. Think of like Posh Spice. Even though Posh Spice does give me like Capricorn vibes, she does very much seem like to be like a Venus in Capricorn / rising Libra, something. Maybe rising Capricorn actually, but a Libra. I actually don't know her chart. I should look it up. But, you know, somebody who looks very put together and poised, that is what they like. So anything that is opposite of that, so like Scary Spice and like Sporty Spice, you know how they were loud and like, you know, in your face, they don't like that. They're just like, no. Anything that is excessive, anything that isn't balanced. Remember, always think of the key words that belong to the signs and you'll get to know them better. So remember that Libra is balance. So what's the opposite of balance? It's excess, being out of balance. So guys, if you liked the video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to my channel. I put out videos every single week and I'll be seeing you in the next one.